Welcome back to the Social Work Race. We're going to dive into this one just to let you know that this episode needs a trigger warning. So we're talking about abuse. And the title of this episode is So You Want to Be a Social Worker. And this episode is pointing to those who are considering social work, those who have recently completed, or even students, to think about whether they want to do social work or where they want to go and do social work, whether it's adults or children and families. After this episode, it might help inform you about what you're doing and why you're doing it. I just want to thank you, though, for joining the platform again. There's a lot of content coming through. We're going to be doing our lives again real soon. We're just building something more in the background where I'm building a training service for students as well, and those who are other professionals in the field, that they can understand how social services works. That's coming in a minute. I was supposed to be recording tonight, but it's late. It's been a long day. It's a weekend. But yeah, here we go. We're going to go into it. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of background to this story. It's from a talk show that I've been watching over the years, the Steve Wilkos show, where they give a lie detector test for certain situations. It could be a cheating partner, but in this particular case, it's a man who has a child with someone else previously and is now married, but he's been accused of sexually abusing their child, and he's saying no, he hasn't. If you're watching it, you will see it. If you're listening, you'll get it, because I'll be talking through, and I will be pausing with commentary and important pointers for this type of scenario. Okay. Now, just to bear in mind, this type of scenario that we're going to be looking at is something that is a common feature in the area of the UK that I work. This is a regular this is a regular type of referral. Yeah. So we're going to see if we can get any pointers from this episode and help you understand how much or make sense of whether you want to be a social worker. So let's play this. I'm going to put it up on the screen because I forgot to do that last time. And here I am in the corner. And here we go.
During this whole thing.
Oh, your wife is here?
Yes, of course.
And her name is Sarah too. Let's bring her out. How you doing?
Good.
How long have you and Bobby been married?
We just got recently married on June 3rd of 2017.
So you just got married a few months ago.
Yes.
But you've been together how long?
3 years.
3 years.
Must have been nice.
How do you feel that, you're here today because your husband is accused of molesting his own daughter? How do you feel about that?
I think it's, pardon my French, but I know 110% he did not do anything. He was
110%. You're positive that he didn't do
Yes,
this?
because I was with him. Every time he had her, I was there. He was never.
So this is one of those stories when people say 24/7, I'm there. I'm not, my kids are in my house. I don't see them every second of the moment they're in my house. I don't know. I don't watch.
All right, listen. Listen. Let me see if we can shrink this down. So look, you're going to hear this like, oh, I wasn't around them at the time, or I've never been alone with them. And then you're also going to hear and listen carefully to the language. I mean, there's a lot of learning here. Listen carefully to the language. I don't believe he would do something like that. Why? Because he's never done it to me, or I've never seen anything like it. So this woman, there must have been red flag behavior. Listen, you'll understand when you start. There's red flag behavior that she's willing to ignore. That's my assumption at this stage. And it was my assumption before I watched it. Red flag behavior around this man anyway. But then she heard allegations and still married him. So that's a pointer for us to say, well, guys just don't pop up and start abusing kids out of the blue. There are behaviors that you are willing to ignore a lot of the time. But that's my take on it. And when you're questioning a family, which you will have to do when you get a referral like this, and I promise you, especially if you work out of London, you will get a case like this. But you will get a case like this when you work in children and families. Listen carefully to what people are saying, because the ignoring of red flags is a common thing. Not with everyone, but you've got to listen to the partner, okay? Because she has absolute trust, which is dangerous for a step parent. Hey, let's get into it.
My wife with my daughter and my son every second of the day, and vice versa. So you're telling me he never was alone with his own daughter?
Well, maybe a couple times when I went to the bathroom, I mean, I'm not going to invite him in the bathroom with me.
My point exactly is there are times when he's alone with his daughter.
Yes.
Who bathes her when she stays with you?
I have, and so has he.
Okay. And has he bathed her alone?
He always has the door open. I'm always there with
I
him.
didn't ask you that.
Okay.
Has he bathed?
Just answer the question.
Has he bathed her alone? You mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Has he gave her a bath
Yes.
by himself?
Now look, she's taking too long to answer questions, and she's pivoting. She's not being absolutely direct. She's absolutely direct about the fact that she loves him and trusts him. But when it comes to circumstantial things that are readily available to memory, she's struggling to be very direct. And that, for me, is an indicator of who she is. Let's get into it, because I've got so much to say.
Yes.
Okay. You're aware that this isn't the first time he's been accused of sexually touching a child, right?
Yes.
Does this not concern you at all?
Yeah.
It does concern you. You don't have children together,
No,
do
I
you?
do not.
What if he fails his test for being sexually molesting his own daughter?
I would still like to be with him.
Right. Why did I bring that up? Just dusting food off my face. Why did I pause it there? This was the most telling part of this interview, because you will get a case where a parent or a partner is with someone who's a highly suspected abuser or has a history of abusing, and they will continue that relationship. So social workers are hated because we remove children. You have to understand that there are cases that we have where we will remove children, where the courts will remove children from families or a parent because the parent would rather be with the abusive partner than be with the children. Do you get that? They would rather not be alone or out of a relationship and basically they're sacrificing their child for their own wants. Yeah, that happens, and it happens more than a lot of people think. So if you work in children's services for long enough, you're probably going to get a case like this within like 3-4 months, and it's been I've been on duty this week. It's been an interesting week of referrals, the things that we're getting through. Similar case, parents making excuses for a partner who has a high suspicion of abuse, or they've got a known history. And this woman has just said, even if he's guilty, I still want to be with him. Now, think about that for a minute, because you have to now consider her as risky or as concerning as the person who is being accused. When you are questioning a family, you have to do that. You understand? You have to consider her a serious concern. In fact, probably slightly more, because then you would have to label her an enabler at some point. But let's see where this goes.
If he sexually molested his own daughter, which means he gave her a disease that now she will have to deal with painfully for the rest of her life, you would still want to be with that man?
As of right now, yes, because we recently just got married, and this is a lot to take in right now.
Okay. This little girl, if he turns out he fails, will have to know that her father sexually molested her. And because you got married a few months ago, you want to stay with him? This might be a pattern in him that he's going around molesting children. This isn't the first time. This isn't the second time. This is now the third time.
I would like to say, though, if he didn't do it at all, then who did it?
Exactly. If he passes, well, then of course you want to stay with the guy.
So she doesn't want to answer the question. So she wants to point to his innocence before she understands if he's guilty. And she's making excuses for him based on an if. People, this is real. Now, if you want to be a social worker, then this is social working. These are the questions that you're going to have to ask. These are the things you're going to have to consider, and this is the type of behavior that you will eventually have to deal with. Let's push on.
But if he were to fail, not only does it speak something of his character, but also of yours. Okay, Bobby, you came here because you've been accused of sexually molesting your daughter, who now suffers from a sexually transmitted disease that she's going to have for the rest of her life. You wanted him to come here because you wanted to answer, who did this?
Yes.
So Bobby came here and he took a lie detector test, and we asked him, did you ever engage in any sexual physical contact with your daughter? He answered no. And the results for his lie detector test is that Bobby did not tell the truth. I love your face. Oh, you're so shocked. This is the third time he's been accused. You.
Just in case you wonder why the sound's cutting out, it's because they're cutting out the bad language. Yeah?
Get the hell off my stage.
So it's interesting. He's kicked off the current wife off the stage. Yeah. Now I'd love to play the rest of it. It's only about 2 minutes left, but I don't think I need to. This is what you are going to have to do. You're going to have to meet people who are prepared to stay with a partner. And they will say what they have to say. And the problem is that we don't have lie detector tests. We pretty much have to ask questions so that we can evaluate if someone's being honest or not. And that is a challenge. Sometimes you don't get there in time, or if it's a section 47, then you've got to go out there and then to explore the family. You're thinking, am I going to a home to have to remove these children with the police? Am I going to have to do that? And you're going to be hated for that. You're going to traumatize the children for that. That is social work. Just letting you know. For me, I'm okay. Not that I'm okay with it. I can handle that trauma, but it does get to me, And this is one of the reasons why, when you've had 3 or 4 of these types of situations in your career, it wears you down. I say that because I'm hearing this. In a sense, I'm fortunate. I haven't had to remove any children, but we've come close in my time. But in terms of children I've been involved with children as a social worker who are separated from their families because of abuse. But I haven't had to be in that process. It's no joke because the child has a lot of trust for the family. And then you're just popping them into some strange place. The car journey, the new faces, just the whole trauma of it, and they don't forget it, And this is social work, and this is. I've entitled this part 1 because I'm going to do a part 2 on a different story. Do you want to be a social worker? And if you do, please get going and study for it, get your degree, do your step up program, do whatever you've got to do your masters. So society needs you to be a part of the solution. Now, when we say solution, it's not about removing children only. I'm just saying that this is what you're going to be facing, but don't let this experience, I hope that this experience doesn't traumatize you out of becoming a social worker. And if you are studying to be a social worker, just get your heart and mind ready, because it is challenging if you have to do this sort of thing. Yeah, ask questions. Ask questions and be prepared for a level of disguised compliance. Be prepared for when parents, I was trying to say this earlier, I think I forgot to say it, when parents get to coach their children before you get there. be prepared to ask lots of questions to help you understand how to ascertain whether someone's telling the truth or not. Now, this is one of the other challenges. One of the other challenges is that you can have a strong suspicion, but you can't establish truth. You're looking at certain things, maybe expressions or the way that children are talking, but you can't fully substantiate. And that's sometimes a case where a guilty parent or an abuser slips through the net or right under your nose or in your face. That's one of the challenging things where you've got a case where you're like, this person's guilty, but I can't prove it. And I don't have enough, there's not enough threshold met or evidence to meet the threshold to intervene. That happens too. And you're just thinking, well, you know what? When I step away from this case, they're going to double down on hiding the evidence, which means more oppression and abuse for the children. That is real. That is very real. I've not heard this spoken about before. Maybe it has been, but I'm just reiterating. If you're choosing to come into social work and you want to help families, this is the place to come and help. We don't always get the results we want, but we can make a difference. And if you think that you've got intuition and you would like to save children, become a social worker. I can't believe I'm canvassing for social workers, but yeah, literally what I'm doing. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this a little bit, because the thing is that if I played you the previous segment of this man is adamant it never happened. I want you to hear what he's saying now. Excuse me, my voice is dry because I've been painting. This man is adamant, even though the lie detector test is done by, and I know the guy that does it as well. He's really good. He works for the FBI as well. This guy, listen to what he says. I'm just going to play the end of it to end the show. Listen to how he's talking. There's not much left. Here we go.
Listen,
Your test is a joke.
the test isn't a joke. You're a joke.
You're a joke.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Oh, don't worry. He's not going to do anything to me, and I'm not going to do anything to him. But you say I'm a joke?
That test is obviously fake.
It's
I'm
not
looking you
fake.
straight in the eye.
It's not fake. And I'm looking you straight in the eye. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I've never been accused of molesting a child. Never.
You get the hope.
You are the one that did this to your daughter.
And
now, Sarah, you need to go back home and let that detective know the results of this guy's lie detector test. You can say it's a joke, but I hope that detective or some police officer back home where you live, that they get a hold of you and they get a conviction on you. So you'll stop. I hope you go to jail and spend a long time there. You get off my stage.
Yeah. You know, it's not about the crowd. It's really, look, let me put it this way. Come and save some families. Let me put it that way. Come and save some families. Come and make a difference. And that is the conclusion of today's episode of the Social Work Race. So you want to be a social worker. Take care of yourself.